Have you ever stopped to think that some of the most powerful leaders in the history of the United States also made decisions that caused massive suffering? While many are remembered as heroes, there was another side, a darker side, marked by war, displacement, death, and choices that are still debated to this day. History is often written by the victors, and because of that, it doesn't always reveal the true cost of the decisions made at the highest levels of power. Today, you're going to discover the 10 most controversial and ruthless presidents in United States history, based on real events, documented decisions, and consequences that still echo today. And some of these names may surprise you, more than you imagine, because behind inspiring speeches and iconic images, there are decisions that changed the fate of millions, for the worse. Starting with Andrew Jackson. Known by many as a man of the people, someone who challenged elites and connected with the masses, Jackson built the image of a strong and determined leader. But there is a chapter of his story that carries a weight that cannot be ignored. During his presidency, he was primarily responsible for implementing the Indian Removal Act. This policy authorized the government to forcibly remove Native American tribes from their ancestral lands, especially in the southeastern United States. What followed became one of the darkest chapters in American history. Thousands of Native Americans, including women, children, and the elderly, were forced to march long distances under harsh conditions of cold, hunger, and disease. This journey became known as the Trail of Tears, and it wasn't just a symbolic name, it was literal. It is estimated that thousands died along the way. Families were destroyed, cultures were devastated, lands were taken, and all of it happened under direct presidential authority. For many historians, this episode is considered a clear act of ethnic cleansing, and even today, Jackson's legacy remains deeply debated. A hero to some, responsible for human tragedy to others. Next, we have James K. Polk, a president often remembered for his expansionist ambition. During his administration, the United States underwent one of the largest territorial expansions in its history. But this expansion did not happen peacefully. It came through war. The Mexican-American War began amid territorial tensions and political decisions that many consider provocative. The result was devastating. Thousands of soldiers died, civilians were affected, cities were destroyed, and at the end of the conflict, the United States annexed a massive portion of Mexican territory, nearly half the country. To Polk's supporters, he fulfilled the idea of manifest destiny, the belief that the United States was destined to expand. But to critics, he was a leader who placed territorial expansion above human life, a president willing to go to war to achieve his political goals. Now, Abraham Lincoln, perhaps one of the most respected names in American history, the man who abolished slavery, the leader who preserved the Union during one of its most critical moments. But even Lincoln is not free from controversy. During his presidency, the United States plunged into the Civil War, the bloodiest conflict in the nation's history. Brother against brother, cities destroyed, battlefields covered in bodies. Thousands of soldiers died under his command. The decision to continue the war, even in the face of massive losses, raises questions to this day. Was it necessary, or could it have been avoided? Lincoln also made controversial decisions, such as suspending habeas corpus, allowing the detention of citizens without trial in certain cases. To many, he was a savior. To others, a leader who made extreme decisions in pursuit of a greater goal. Moving forward, we arrive at Woodrow Wilson, a president who led the United States during World War I. But his domestic legacy also raises serious concerns. During his presidency, there was a significant rollback in civil rights. Racial segregation was reinforced within the federal government. Black employees were removed from important positions. Workspaces were separated based on race. In addition, during the war, the government implemented laws that restricted freedom of speech. Citizens were arrested for criticizing the government or opposing the war. Newspapers were censored. Fear and control became political tools.
To some, he was an idealist. To others, a leader who sacrificed fundamental freedoms in the name of order. Now, one of the most impactful moments in world history, and one of the most controversial names, Harry S. Truman. He made one of the most consequential decisions ever taken by a world leader, authorizing the use of nuclear weapons. The Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were struck by atomic bombs. In the matter of seconds, entire cities were destroyed. Civilians died instantly. Others suffered from radiation, burns, and long-term illness. The death toll reached hundreds of thousands. To this day, that decision remains deeply divisive. Some believe it was necessary to end the war quickly. Others consider it an extreme act that crossed ethical boundaries, a decision that changed the course of human history forever. Next, Lyndon J. Johnson, a president who took office during a crisis following the assassination of his predecessor. But his name became deeply tied to one of the most controversial conflicts in history, the Vietnam War. Johnson escalated U.S. involvement. He sent hundreds of thousands of American troops into a distant land. The conflict became brutal, long, and devastating. Millions of Vietnamese died. Civilians were heavily impacted. Massive bombings destroyed entire villages, and the use of chemical weapons like Agent Orange left consequences that still persist today. Diseases, disabilities, irreversible environmental damage. For many, it was a pointless war, and Johnson, the man who pushed it to even more destructive levels. Now, Richard Nixon, one of the most controversial presidents in U.S. history. His name is often associated with the Watergate scandal, but his actions went beyond that. During the Vietnam War, Nixon authorized secret bombings in Cambodia. These attacks were not initially disclosed to the public. They were carried out in silence, but their consequences were devastating. Civilians died. Entire regions were destabilized, and the political impact contributed to the rise of radical movements in the region. For many, Nixon crossed a dangerous line, making decisions of enormous consequence away from public scrutiny. Next, George W. Bush. After the attacks of September 11th, the world changed, and Bush led the United States into a massive military response. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq defined his presidency, but the invasion of Iraq in particular sparked deep controversy. It was based on claims of weapons of mass destruction that were never found. The conflict resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths, civilians, soldiers, families torn apart, and a level of instability that continues to this day. To some, Bush was a leader responding to a threat. To others, someone who made decisions based on flawed information, with devastating consequences. Now, Barack Obama, often remembered for his diplomatic tone and calm image, but his presidency also included decisions that drew criticism. During his time in office, there was a significant expansion in the use of drone strikes, operations carried out remotely, precise, but not always perfect. These strikes eliminated targets considered threats, but they also resulted in the deaths of innocent civilians, often in silence, without widespread coverage, without full transparency. A new form of warfare, more technological, but still deadly. And finally, Donald Trump. His presidency was marked by a series of controversial policies, especially in the area of immigration. One of the most criticized was the policy of family separation at the border. Children were separated from their parents, held in detention facilities. Images of these situations sparked global outrage, intense debates about ethics, security, and human rights. To his supporters, necessary measures for control. To critics, actions that crossed fundamental moral lines. And so, we reach the end of this list. But perhaps this is only the beginning of a much deeper reflection. Because when we analyze these leaders, one question inevitably arises. Were they cruel? Or did they simply make difficult decisions in extreme times? Is there a clear line between necessity and cruelty? Or is that line thinner than it seems? The truth is, power rarely comes without consequences, and decisions made behind closed doors can echo for generations. History is not made only of heroes, but also of choices, sacrifices, mistakes, and irreversible consequences. Now, tell me, which of these names surprised you the most? And more importantly, do you believe any of them could have acted differently? Or, in their place, would you have done the same? Because in the end, power doesn't just reveal leaders, it reveals the true cost of the decisions that shape the world.